And welcome, everybody. This is Prophets in the Spotlight. I'm your host, Brother Dan Goodwin. Sitting with me, Dr. Charles Hiltibidal. Doc, these are exciting days we're living in.
And we are. I believe we're getting, as you often say, the end of all things.
Yeah, here we are at the end of all things. And we sure are. The last 2 years have been unbelievable.
They have
unbelievable. You never could have saw this happening so rapidly.
Yeah.
And everything.
Right. But it is the birth pain process. The Lord called it the travail of the woman. And so the closer you get to it, the closer together those birth pains are. And
since you mentioned that, Doc, my wife has had 5. And
my wife's had 5.
Okay, and you got about 100 grandchildren, I think.
I got 27.
Your son's trying to tackle most of that.
He has 10 children. Yes.
Yeah, I thought he had 11. I thought
10.
I thought it was 11 he just had.
10. Number 10.
Well, she's got to have a couple more. Got to have a dozen, right? If she's listening, she will send me some hate mail. But this thing about the birth pains, though, is interesting because the birth pains come, little by little. You don't think much about it. But then all of a sudden, she says, honey, get the bag. It's time to go.
Yep.
And that's what we're facing now. All of a sudden, the birth pains, it's here.
The events of our world that are biblical in our context, they're happening closer together, and they're more extreme with each one. Yes.
And so it's just like the birth pains of a woman.
That's exactly.
That's why the Lord used that illustration.
That's why the Lord used it.
There'll be lots of signs and pains as you go along, but all of a sudden you cross the line, and all of a sudden it's time. Let's get to the hospital or call the midwife.
Whatever, yes.
Well, we got a story, Doc, that we're going to talk about on today's show, and we want to thank all the radio listeners. This is also on YouTube. We want you to know that if you're listening in your car or you're listening at home on your radio. Most of our stations air us on Sundays, but there are a few that air us on some weekdays. But most of the radio programs across the country that air us are Sunday times. And but we want you to know that these are also on YouTube. And you can simply go to prophecyinthespotlight.com and you can click on the radio button there. You can find all the stations. But really, you can go to the website and click on the YouTube button, and you'll see that right on the front page. The YouTube will be right there. And you can go there, and I would suggest that you subscribe. And those of you that are watching right now via YouTube, make sure you've hit that red button and have subscribed to the channel. And there's a little bell there. If you hit that bell, you'll get an alert every time that we post a show. And we do at least 2 a week. We got the radio, what we call an update. And then we have the regular 28.5-minute TV program that's on YouTube every week. And those of you that are listening via radio, you're missing a lot because, Doc, we have 13 minutes and 51 seconds for the radio program.
Yes.
And you can only do so much.
Yeah.
The TV program goes by fast too, but it's 28.5 minutes.
And sometimes our YouTubes go almost as long as a TV program.
But and we do them sometimes. Sometimes we do just a YouTube thing that lasts longer, but we've started in recent days. We've started to do the radio as a YouTube update, and then the TV program.
Right.
Let me say this to those listening via the radio: we would love to hear from you. We have no idea who's listening out there, whether you're up in Pittsburgh or whether you're in Indianapolis or. It seems like there's a New Mexico station.
There's somebody in New Mexico.
We'd like to hear from you if you're listening via the radio. I know there's West Virginia. We've got that station there. And we've got up in Pennsylvania, I'm trying to think of the town up there where Brother, what's his? Springs. Yeah. Beaver Springs, from Beaver Springs area, but he's got 3 or 4 stations up there scattered around. And we would love to hear from some of you. If you would send us an email, dgoodwin@uplink.net or prophecyinthespotlight at yahoo.com. Better yet, if you want to text me on my cell phone, a little weary about giving my cell phone out, but now this is just for radio people. 814-599-6280. We'd love to hear some feedback. and let us know you're listening. Let us know, hey, I'm listening in Indianapolis, I'm listening in Pittsburgh, or I'm listening up in Canada, wherever the station is. We'd like to know that there's somebody listening to the radio. We've dropped some of the radio stations because we didn't feel we had many people listening, and it's cost money.
But we have to be mindful of the Lord's money. It's the best place to put it.
Yeah. So we'd like to, if you would let us know that you're listening, that would help us. Let me give that number again: 814-599-6280. 814-599-6280. That's my personal cell phone. You can text that number, say I'm listening on the radio at Indianapolis or Pittsburgh or wherever you are. That would be a great help to us. Okay, and we want to thank all of our financial partners who send us money to help us stay on the air. It's thousands of dollars, Doc, and we'll talk about that in a TV show. But it's thousands of dollars every 3 months. Yes, and we're getting. I think we're 2 weeks away. When this airs, we'll probably be a week and a half or something
week
away.
And a half.
And so we need our partners to help us out once again at the end of this cycle, because we're still short several $1,000s. All right. With that in mind, Doc, we got we got plenty of time left. There's a news article, and I believe you sent this to me. Mm-hmm. This is actually from. See, I got it over here.
I don't remember.
I want to give credit to this is Michael Snyder, Economic Collapse blog, September the 12th. This article. This is interesting. A little scary too.
Yeah, it is.
Especially if you're not a believer.
I would be scared if I wasn't a believer.
Here's what the article is. The European energy collapse could lead to financial crisis across the globe. Yes. How's that for a headline?
Well, I could see it happening.
I don't think this is just hype. I think this is real.
It is real, and ever since they backed Mr. Putin into the corner and began their campaign of destroying the economic system of the world, honestly, I'm convinced that the globalists have pushed this for one purpose, and that's to crash the economics of the world. And this is just one way that it's going to happen.
Yeah, let me read a little bit about this. This thing in Europe is rapidly becoming rather serious. Vladimir Putin's decision to end the flow of gas through the Nord Stream 1 pipeline has caused an enormous derivatives crisis to erupt in Europe, and it is going to take a giant mountain of money to fix it. Now, let me stop right there, Doc, and make a comment here. He mentions Vladimir Putin's decision to end the flow of gas. Let's not forget why he did this. Yeah. He's being censored. He's being pushed in a corner.
He's been, all these nations right here have blockaded, or in essence barred something and blackballed something. He's just striking back.
America has chosen to support the third most corrupt nation in the world, Ukraine, instead of the seventh most corrupt nation, Russia.
Right.
Now, what kind of a decision is that?
Well, they're both at the bottom of the list on that, but
Now, I want people to understand why this war started. The war started because Ukraine, under the encouragement of Kamala Harris and others and other nations, were encouraging them to join NATO.
Yes.
And Mr. Putin said, not on my watch.
He wanted a buffer zone between...
Of course. I mean... We should want him to have a buffer zone.
We wanted a buffer zone between us and Cuba.
That's right. And so we kindled this thing, and we're keeping it going.
The globalists kindled this. The globalists pushed it. I don't know if they all know they're the players in it, but that's what it's all about.
Now, we're not saying that we're Putin fans or Russia fans at all.
No, not hardly.
But I think I'm less of a Ukraine fan than I am a Russia fan. And by the way, our democratic government is all tied to Ukraine financially, bribes and money laundering. They have been in some way
or another. There's another article, I don't know if we get to it in this session or whatever, but that talks about this very thing. And the whole purpose, Dan, has been they're wanting to set up out of the European Union an unbelievable amount of money as a pool for Ukraine to draw from as they need it. Does that not tell you it's made for an extension to go on and on?
It's going in somebody's suitcase.
It's that, and it's going to collapse Western civilization financially.
There's no accountability on this money.
No.
Let me read a little bit of this. Some are already referring to this as a Lehman Brothers moment. Now, you and I know what that's 2008.
Yep.
That's the 2008 crash that we lived through. For the European financial system, and he says the authorities all over the EU are really starting to freak out, as he called it.
Yep.
That's kind of funny in a news article for that slang to be used, but we haven't seen anything like this since 2008, and if the Europeans are not able to contain the damage, we could soon see a tsunami of financial panic sweep across the entire globe.
Yep.
It is being reported, listen to this, it is being reported that energy trading in Europe is being strained by margin calls of at least 1.5 trillion. European energy trading is being strained by margin calls, putting pressure on governments to provide more liquidity buffers, according to Norway's somebody here. I'm going to skip some of this. We're not talking about $1.5 million.
No.
We're not talking about $1.5 billion. We're talking about $1.5 trillion, which is a colossal amount
it is.
of cash.
It's unbelievable.
And he explains here, to put this in perspective, if you were able to create a stack of dollar bills worth 1.5 trillion $1 bills. This is mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling.
And we need Michael Smith here for this, because this is too much. We need a stack of $1 trillion would be 67.866 miles high. For just $1 trillion. He said, so a stack of $1.5 trillion, all in $1 bills, that stack would be 100,000 miles high. Now that puts it in perspective. This is $1 trillion.
It's a colossal amount of money. And it could all have been avoided. But I'm telling you, Dan, this is all to drive all of the nations, particularly in Europe, together in a united Europe effort.
Yep.
And it's to crush the capitalistic system in America.
Yep. I just heard Steve Bannon just a few days ago, as of the recording of this, he said that the national debt just hit $31 trillion.
I saw that.
That's not counting the unfunded liabilities, which is probably another 40 or 50
so
trillion.
That's 31 times how many miles was the 1 trillion?
Well, what's 31 times 100,000 miles? I don't know. It's a lot. Millions of miles of $1 bills.
It's a mountain of money.
And it ain't going to be solved.
And of course,
no way.
Most people understand that it's all fiat money to begin with. There's nothing in any of the monetary systems, basically, in the world that's backed by real
There's not
value.
enough dollars printed that in existence to pay the debt.
No way.
It's all digits on a computer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's one story, and we'll next week we'll have another story for you that we're going to.
Yeah, we're about out of time already.
And thanks for listening via radio. If you'd like to contact us and let us know you're listening via the radio, call this number 814-599-6280, or text me. Text me if you can. That would be the best way. If you don't have texting, you could call, but we'd love to hear from you. Well, we're out of time. Until next time, keep your eyes on them skies.